Okay.
Great. So to answer your question, it doesn't seem to say anything about particular drinks, but this bar would sell two different kind of items. It would sell food and it would sell drinks. So
Food.
those are the two categories of
Mhm.
items sold in this bar.
Yeah. And then is there any information about perhaps the timing of this bar? So when is it looking to be opened, and when it is open, what the operations would look like?
Nope, it's just calculating profitability, just
Um,
profitability of this new venture.
okay. Is there any information about any sort of initial investment costs that have been done or anything like that, or no?
That'll come later. We can talk about that later.
Yeah, no numbers right now. Okay. So I'll put together an approach and to address the question about if this new bar would be profitable. Could I get a minute to do that, and then I'll go over it with you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yep. I'm ready to go through my framework, my
Sure,
approach
go
for this.
ahead. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So what we're trying to address for our client is the question of the profitability of this new bar that would be opened. And for the profitability, I'm really considering its profitability in the first year of it being operational, just to give us a sort of a timeline or a framework to work with here. And then to sort of address that, I'm considering two variables. The first being the internal situation of the client itself, so our entrepreneur, and then the external market of what's going on outside in terms of the industry. So in terms of the internal market, we're looking at how profitable this bar can be in year one. Is that a possibility, and what kind of cost do we have to consider? In terms of the external environment, we're taking a look at the market. Is the market really ready for another bar? And what does that look like for us? Now, when I consider the internal environment, I'm going to consider the revenue and the cost and what that looks like. And then in part of the external environment, we're taking a look at the market and the competitors, the location of this bar, and the customers, and who we would be approaching. Now, to look at that closely, under the revenue, which is under the internal section here, we're taking a look at I would like to take a look at the average price that it costs to get inside the bar, and the average price, and along with the average price of what people are buying when they come in for a meal. So what's the average price of a stay? So maybe a drink and a food item. And then we're going to benchmark that against like competitor prices and the industry benchmark, and also consider other revenue streams that the entrepreneur might want to include to, again, generate that revenue. Under cost, I will take a look at fixed costs. So for instance, utilities and any other sort of costs like that, along with the cost, mostly utilities, but we'll also consider other fixed cost variables. And we'll consider variable costs like staff, such as the chefs, the servers, the DJs, and perhaps any other security features we might have in this bar based on what we include there. And also food and drink, so the raw materials to prepare the food and drink items. And then we'll consider the initial investment costs as well, which includes the tables, any sort of furniture we have in the space, along with any sort of renovations we do to the building itself initially to create the kind of atmosphere the client is going for, along with equipment. So that includes the equipment for the bar, maybe a DJ booth if we have one, and that also includes like the kitchen materials for the chefs to prepare the food. Now, going back to our external factors in the market. So underneath the market, we're going to consider the trends that are happening in the market. So what's the market look like for bars? Is there upward trend? Is it a sustained upward trend in the past 5 years, for example? And also we'll take a look at barriers to entry. So is this a fragmented market, or is this really concentrated? And really, is this a viable option for our client? Well, under competitors, we'll look at the direct and indirect competitors that our client will have. And under location, we're going to basically ask ourselves the question of where should this bar be opened, and can our chefs and all of our staff able to come to this location regularly and provide excellent service? And also, we're going to take a look at customers and really what they want. So if this new bar is opened, how is it going to serve the demographic we're aiming for? And that's the sort of approach I have here. Unless you have a place you would like to start, I would like to suggest maybe we can start off with the revenue and really calculating what that would look like.
Great. Yeah, I think revenue and cost would be a great way to start. Let me share my screen.
Okay. I'm sorry if I was talking really fast.
No. Let me see. So here's some information on the profitability, revenue, and costs of our.
Okay, so what I see over here is clarifying information. So basically the revenues. So Stephen, am I supposed to ask you this stuff, or are you supposed to show me?
This was clarifying information, so I think it'd be best if you wrote all this down, or just made a note of this information.
Okay, so revenue, it says the average customer is spending $15 per visit. And then the average customer also spends $20 on drinks. So that was food, and this is drinks. So we can say in total, the average if they're getting both, they're spending $35 per visit. And there are capacity constraints and benchmarking should be discussed here. So are there capacity restraints on how many people they can serve in the bar? And we see that over here. That's at the bottom here. That's competitive research, but it's not saying anything about how many people can be fit into the bar, like per hour.
No. No, I think you can assume that that the customers that come per hour are they can all fit in the bar.
Okay, so more so of a question was of how many customers regularly come per hour, right? So like at the bottom here we see with the competitors, there's like on Sunday to Wednesday, it says that information, so I guess I'll use that, right?
Yeah, you can take it as an average, just 10 customers, for example, 10 customers per hour of food customers, from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. So
Mhm.
using it as an average. So you could ask what are your calculations right now?
What am I? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Right now, I'm just noting all the information down, and then I
Great,
will explain my equation before I move forward.
great.
So there's no other specific information. Okay. So, okay.
Oh,
So,
there's actually one more page. Let me pull that up super quick. Do you have all? Are you done with the slide?
yeah, I'm done the slide. I didn't make note of the competitor research at the bottom. I'm only concerned if that information would be related to how many customers our client can have per hour, like based on that information, like from Sunday to Wednesday, Thursday to Saturday.
Yeah, don't worry about competitors. That's all right. Let me give you the last piece of information you'll need right here. You see the labor needs? Do you see the slide?
Yeah, I see that. They don't pay them well.
Yeah.
So when we're open. Okay. I'm just wondering if to calculate sort of what people are, what the customers would be spending in terms of revenue, I do need a number for how many customers we can expect. And I think I should get that from the competitor research at the top there of how many sort of customers competitors are serving per hour.
Well, we're looking to calculate profitability. So
Mm.
we have the number of customers per hour, and we have the average amount of food, average amount that customers spend per visit.
We,
So
we,
from
we have, I don't think we have competitors per hour, I mean, customers per hour, do we? Yeah,
competitive
what they,
research,
hmm, that's at the bottom, yeah.
yeah, we can see
Some-
that we can expect, for example, 10 food customers per hour from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m.
mhm.
So we can take that as a assumption that that's what our bar would be, how many
Yeah, I'm
customers
just
our
gonna
bar
make,
would have.
yeah, I'll just make note of that. Um, okay. I'm going to just to when calculating the revenues, I'll calculate them separately for food and separately for the drinks. Something else I just want to take a look at. Okay, now I'm gonna set up my equation now. So just 1 second.
Sure. So just to clarify, what will you be calculating?
I'm going to be calculating the profitability. So I'll do revenue subtracted by the cost. In the revenue, I'm going to calculate the revenue for food and drinks based on the values provided along with the number of customers we're going to be having. And there are no other variable costs to consider. And then I'll also calculate the cost for the labor as a part of the cost along with the lease and those values. Also consider the cost of goods sold as well. Once I get the once I get the profit, I'll consider the cost of goods sold to get the profit once we've the net profit. So that's what I'm just going to do right now.
So Lovepreet, where are you at right now? What are your
Yeah, so right now what I'm doing is calculating the revenue for the food, which what I'm doing is 15 multiplied by the number of customers, which is in this case taking in consideration the values for Sunday to Wednesday. So for food, it would be 14 for Sunday to Wednesday plus 20. So in total, giving us 34 customers in a day, well, in a week on average. So then multiplying that.
Mhm.
And then for drinks, multiplying $20 by 44 customers. So taking, 19 plus 25. And then I'm just going to multiply those to get the revenue individually for each for food and drinks. Is that correct?
Um, okay, well with remember that the hours we're splitting between is 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. So that's 8 hours, and then from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m., which is 4 hours. So
Mm.
it wouldn't be adding 4 plus 15 and 5 plus 20 over Sunday, Wednesday. Just remember consider that there are different time ranges as well as Sunday to Wednesday is longer than from Thursday to Saturday. So it'll be a bit longer of a calculation than just adding them up.
Okay.
So what is your approach right now?
Right now, so it's $15 per visit for food. So I'm just considering the how the hours play a role in this because I was really just considering them per week, how many people come in. But I guess what I can do is I can consider them per day. Is that the right way to approach it?
Yeah, sure. So for every so every day and every you can take it by segments. There's a Sunday to Wednesday food
Yeah.
section, Sunday to Wednesday drink section. So talking by section.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. I see.
Well, Lovepreet, where are you at right now? What's your approach?
Yeah, so right now I realized the mistake I was making. So basically in one so for considering starting from Sunday, so for food it would be so $15 multiplied by 80 customers for the 12 to 8. Then for the 8 to 12 it was 4 customers per hour, so that's sorry, that's 40 customers. So not 40, sorry, that's 16 customers. So then I'm getting the total for Sunday for those hours, which will be $1,440, and that will be consistent until Wednesday. So I'll multiply that by 4.
Okay, so hold on one second. So just to take a step back, what is your approach right now? We're trying to calculate revenue right now. Is that right? So we're um
Yeah.
so let's just first take a step back. How are you segmenting your approach to this math? Just to get
Uh, by
organized a bit.
by Sunday to Wednesday, and then by Thursday to Saturday, and then I'm further segmenting it by food and drinks, and then I'll add it together.
Right.
Mhm. Okay.
So Lovepreet, could you walk me through your math?
Yes, I can. Okay, so the way I structured this is by Sunday to Saturday. And then first we're considering the food. So for the food, the equation I'm using is $15 per hour multiplied by the 8 hours from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. So 8 multiplied by 10 customers. So for a total of 80 customers. So 15 multiplied by 80. Then I'm considering the other bracket from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m., which is $15 multiplied by 16 customers, which I get the 16, which I get from the 4 hours from 8 to 12 p.m. and the four customers per hour, which gives me to the $240 for that
Well,
time period.
you should check that one second. So 4 orders per hour times 8 hours, 16, or would that be 16?
It's 16 customers, right? Because there's 4 hours from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. multiplied by four customers per hour, right?
Um,
Six, 4 times 4.
which day and time is this?
Sunday to Wednesday, 8 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Okay, for food customers?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, yeah, yeah.
So the revenue from Sunday to Wednesday would be
Yeah, you're right.
5,760.
Okay.
So that's just that section. I'm just calculating Thursday to Saturday.
Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so what have you calculated so far? What have you found so far?
So far, from Thursday to Saturday, the total would be, I'm just calculating what that total would be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that would be $3,300. Now, when I add these two values together, for 1 week for food alone, it would be $9,060 in 1 week. And now I would multiply this by 4 though, just because when I add it with the drinks, since the lease cost is per month, I'm going to calculate what the profit would look like per month. Then just right now to multiply it by 4, but at the end I'll multiply the entire thing by, or I'll multiply by 12 right now because we're going to be considering this value for the year. Should I do that or should I consider it per month?
So let's have what is your weekly revenue right now? We have
For
Sunday
food,
through
for
Wednesday.
food alone right now, it's 9,060. I have to calculate the drinks.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and calculate the drinks first. Let's find out our weekly revenue before we take that any further. So what is your approach right now, Lovepreet? Your same thing as
Yeah, same thing. So I'm going by the hour bracket. So for example, for the drinks, right now would be $20 per visit multiplied by uh 8 hours multiplied by four customers per hour, which is 32 for the first segment of 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. from Sunday to Wednesday. For the second segment, it would be 15 customers multiplied by 4 hours, which gives us 60 customers. That one day. So then I'm just going to multiply those to get the values. One second, guys.
So, Lovepreet, can you walk me through where you're at right now?
Yes. Just one moment. So right now I'm calculating the revenue from Thursday to Saturday. So same approach for the 12 to 8 p.m. period, it would be $20 multiplied by 37 customers because 5 times 8. And then for the 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. portion, it would be 20 customers multiplied by 40, which is 80 customers. And then multiplying that by the $20 as well, giving us a total for the revenue of of 4,180. So I'm gonna add this 4,180 to the 9,060 to get the total. The total, which is $13,240 dollars. That's our revenue from the drinks and the food, accounting for the customers per 1 week. Is that on
Okay.
track? Mhm.
That's for 1 week. You're quite a bit off. The calculation that we've had is 29,470. So we'll have to go back and figure out. But let's move forward. So we have the weekly revenue of 29,470. Where should we go from there, moving forward?
That's the weekly revenue?
That's the weekly revenue. Yeah, weekly revenue for
Um, okay. Since we have the weekly revenue now, I would like to calculate the cost of the labor, so that we can then factor that in before we calculate the profit.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, we have the revenue. Let's move forward with costs.
So we already know that we have fixed cost of the lease, which is that 10,000 per month. And then we know we have labor costs, so let's calculate that.
Well, yeah, let's take a second. Let's take a second to map out your approach. Just so we have costs, right? How does cost break down, and then how does everything break down? Calculate them one
Yeah,
at a time.
so
Yeah.
so the cost to calculate the cost, I'm going to account for the labor cost. So considering that our operations seem to be running. Oh, I see where my mistake is, Stephen.
Hmm?
I see where the mistake was for the math there.
Oh, for the
Yeah.
revenue, or
Yeah, for the revenue, because I considered for Thursday, Saturday, I didn't take into account that the times are different. So it's not 4 hours for the Thursday.
yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
It's
well, yeah. Well,
yeah.
let's just keep moving on. So weekly revenue is 29,470 before any costs, before any costs. So we have the
Yeah.
weekly revenue. Let's move forward with calculating costs. So
Yeah. Yeah, so for cost, I would consider that we have a lease, a monthly lease of $10,000. Then I'll consider the labor cost, which is the kitchen staff, which is 4 people, $10 an hour. So for 1 given hour, we're paying $40 to the kitchen staff. And then we have the bar staff, which is when we are open, it's 1 person that we pay $5 to. So it's $5 per hour in terms of total when we account for all of the staff. Then for the wait staff, we have 3 of them when we are open, and we pay them $5 an hour as well. So in total, it'll be $15 for that staff during our open period. When we add these values together, we're paying $60 to our staff per hour when we are operating, and our operating hours go from 12 to 12 on Saturday to Wednesday. So in that case, it's 12 hours multiplied by $60 per staff. And then from our Thursday to Saturday, we operate not 12 to 12, we operate 14 hours. So in that case, I would multiply 14 hours by the $60 rate per staff to get, and then add those together to get our total labor cost. If that makes, does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. So what's so go ahead, but let's find your weekly labor cost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So could you walk me through the math you're doing?
Yeah, so right now I'm just multiplying the 12 hours from Wednesday to Saturday. Yeah, so multiplying the 12 hours in a day from Wednesday to Saturday, multiplied by the fact that that's a total of 4 days.
Do you mean Thursday to Saturday or Wednesday to Saturday?
Sorry, Sunday to Wednesday, and then
Sunday.
multiplying that we pay $60 per hour. Oh, I'm missing variables here. Okay, just give me 1 second.
Yeah, sure. Take your time. Structure your thoughts. But of course, walk me through them too after you've.
Yeah, so the equation is going to be the number of hours. So from Sunday to Wednesday, that's 12 hours of our operations, and we're open 4 days to account for Sunday to Wednesday. And then we're paying $60 per hour. So that's going to be the equation there. Then I'm going to add the values for Thursday to Saturday, which is we're open for 14 hours a day, and that counts for 3 days in the week. And we're paying our staff $60 per hour. So I'm going to multiply by that to get the totals. Then I will add those two values together to get the total labor costs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how are those numbers looking, Lovepreet? What are your numbers looking like?
So right now for the Sunday to Wednesday, I have a total of 2,880.
Okay,
Yeah, and then I'm just calculating the other one.
great.
So my labor cost total is $5,440 dollars.
Great. 15,400 even. So yes, our weekly labor cost is 5,400. So great.
Yeah, so that's our labor cost. And then and this is for a week, again, and our revenues also counted for a week. Would it be okay for me to now the lease cost break it down by week? So assuming we have
yes, assume 4 weeks per month.
Mm-hmm. So that will be $2,000. Nope, 2,500.
Yes, 2,500. Great. So what numbers do you have so far?
So far I have the revenue value, then we have the labor cost, which we'll subtract, and we have the and then we have the lease amount for the month. So those are the costs that I'm considering when calculating profit.
Right. Are there any other costs you'd like to consider?
Is there any information about the food in terms of the raw materials expense there?
Yeah,
That
such as
would
the cost of goods sold.
yeah. But for the food, but since it's 20% of the gross margin, I think first I would calculate the profit, then consider that percentage value, no?
Yes, yes. So yes, so we have the cost of goods sold for food and for drinks, and
Mhm.
as well we have the number of food. We have the revenue from our food and the revenue from our drinks. So just to give you those because we had the wrong revenue. We our weekly revenue our weekly revenue for the food is 12,510. That's our weekly revenue for food.
Okay,
And our weekly revenue for drinks is 16,960.
okay. So I'll just consider the cost of goods sold for that now since we have the right values.
Yes.
50%. Okay.
Wait, so how are you calculating that, Lovepreet? How's
Yeah, so for food, I'm calculating it by taking the revenue, multiplying that by 20%, and then for drinks, taking the revenue and multiplying that by 50%.
Mhm.
In that case, the cost for food is 2,002, or drink, sorry, is 2,502, and the cost for the food is 8,480.
Mhm. Well, the cost, so the food has a 20% gross margin. So 20% of every revenue you make for food, 80% of that is cost. So you calculate the other for the cost of goods sold, food has a 20% gross margin. So the drinks is right, 50% gross margin. However, you're doing it backwards. You see, like you're making 20 every $100 you make on food, you're making 20 instead of making 80.
What I did was like the value you had given was 12,510. Then I
Mhm.
multiplied that by 20%. You're saying I'm that's wrong.
Oh, you're sorry, I think you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So then from the what I did was with the revenue value, I subtracted the lease and I subtracted the cost of goods sold, which gave
Mhm.
me 21,530, from which now subtract the cost of the food and drinks to get our profit,
Great. Your weekly profit, right?
our weekly profit, yes. Um,
Great. So what do you get for our weekly profit?
yeah, I get 10,548.
Okay. 10,000, you said 10,548?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm getting the revenue minus cost of goods sold. What's your number for your labor is right, 5,400 and weekly. What is your weekly cost of goods sold cost? What is that cost for cost of goods sold
Well,
weekly?
in total?
Yeah, in total.
Wait, just one sec. It's 10,982.
Okay. I think because of the 20%, the 20% gross margin, for food. I think that we got the numbers a little bit backwards there. But the weekly cost of goods sold is 19,488. Because the cost of goods sold, we make because we make the cost of goods, we make 20% gross margin from the food. So that means 80% of the weekly revenue for food is cost. So the weekly cost of goods sold for food is $10,000.
Okay, just so you were saying that the revenue for food is 12,510.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then wouldn't I multiply that by 20% to get the cost of goods sold for food?
You see, it'd be the other way. You'd multiply it by 80%. The 20% is the
Okay.
profit. Yeah. 80% of the 12,510
I
is
see.
cost of goods sold.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you do, because it's gross
It's
margin.
the gross margin, yeah.
Okay. So then So then the weekly profit you said is what?
Yeah, the weekly profit is 2,082.
Okay.
Right. So that's the weekly profit. Where should we go from there?
We could multiply this by 4 to get a month, and then we can then multiply by 12 to get a year.
Sure. Let's go annual. You can assume 50 weeks in the year.
Okay. How many? 50 weeks?
50 weeks, yeah, just even.
The amount of math in this thing, I hate it.
Yeah.
I need to get better at math, but yeah.
It's okay. Okay. Okay, so what are you getting for the annual profit of trade?
One second. I'm getting 954,100.
954. Okay.
Almost
Okay, so that's your annual profit?
considering 50 weeks in a year.
Yes. Okay, great. So the father walks in and he'd like to know what your recommendation is, or what do you think would be to convince the father?
Yeah, could I just have a minute to put down my recommendation prepare my recommendation
Yes.
for our client?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Great. So what do you think? What do you think? Given our annual profit, what would you make? What recommendation would you make?
Yeah, so thank you to our client for allowing us to explore this problem. What we recommend is that they go ahead with opening this bar because in a year they are making a significant profit, considering their cost. The reasons for this is that considering the cost values for the lease, along with the labor costs and the bar's raw materials, for example, along with the food, we still are making a significant profit. So they can move forward with opening the location. And, yeah, and they can even consider other factors like the gross margins currently on the food and the drinks. They can factor in, they can maybe get suppliers that can even make those costs even more minuscule, and then significantly boost their profit further. And a risk here that I want to highlight is that we have to consider the market and the competitors, which is something we haven't considered in our analysis, to really make sure that it is a good time to open a bar at this location. And we've determined what that location is to really be able to even make these kind of numbers. So, we've been given more time, I would like to consider the market variables along with the competitors and the location and the customers before we move forward with putting this plan into motion. So though I recommend that, yes, we could open this location, I do think we need to consider more variables before we operationalize this. Thank you very much.
Great.
Please.
Okay, there we go. Great. There we go. Oh, that was a tough one. That was a tough one. Yeah,
This is a lot of, like, I need to get much better at math. And then,
yeah.
The thing is, like, with my paper, like, I really need to use the like, they're like, use the grid boxes.
Yeah.
Because, like, I got lost in with the values, like, and like I have to set up my equation better too in the beginning, because what I didn't consider in the values was, I was like, oh, 80 customers, but it's 4 days. So I didn't multiply that there. And then I realized I can't really do mental math that well. Like, I need to get multiplication and subtraction at least.
Yeah. Well, yeah, overall that was a tough one. Yeah, the math in this one was pretty intense.
This
Here,
is quite straightforward, like profit and cost.
Yeah. Overall profitability, right? Just revenue and costs. Can you see my screen? Great. So yeah, so we're an entrepreneur. There were a lot of numbers here that were given, right? But overall, I think taking your time and just being, all right, can I have a second to structure? Like, there's a lot of numbers, a lot of information. Let me just take a second, like, a couple, like 30, 40 seconds to structure my approach. They went ahead and, the daytime hours, 8 and 8, 8 and 8. And then in the nighttime, 4 and 4, 6 and 6. They went with all the numbers and then just pushed them all the way through. Just really structured, right? It was basically, like they said, it's about math intensive, so the candidate will need to stay organized. Like, that's the big goal of this case, is to stay organized. The numbers are pretty whole numbers, I would say, but still, like, getting better on, like, all the tricks to do the pluses and minuses and stuff, and just distribute properly, all that stuff to get the math going. And overall, we missed a little bit of the 80% and 50%. Just need some help on all of the just different costs. And overall, there was another problem as well, where the client estimates that this is startup cost and there's a break even. But I felt at this point we're like coming to like 40 minutes at this point, and I think that moving on to just to recognition would be good.
Yes. How did they do the break even here? They
so 500K, that's the startup capital or a 5-year period. Well, they wanted to ask, how would it break even, and then over a 5-year period, what would be the return on investment, assuming the interest?
You just have to divide the cost by the profit.
Cost. I guess I could have given you this one. This would have been not that hard. But regardless, that I'm sure you could have done that. Yeah, my bad. I just
no, we're fine. We're fine. I'm happy. I did very
cool. And then the sports bar is profitable. You did great on that. Strong returns in the long run. Location could be a factor. But also a lot of our costs were kind of we had all these assumptions that there was no data on utilities and all this stuff, so definitely make sure that there's costs. But overall, I just think overall, definitely the larger issue, I think, was just like I talked about with my case coach, just like putting your head down, just grinding through the math, like walk and talk it through with your interviewer, make sure your assumptions are correct, make sure your approach makes sense. Because doing it really slow and deliberate, but like taking a long time is better than like putting your head down, right?
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, good practice. Good practice. It's kind of like when I did that market sizing case, right? I just I just completely got so lost. But yeah, I think overall, overall, just yeah, I think you're right where you need to be. This was a really just a ton of math to do. So like
Yeah,
overall,
but
just
that's like the structure, like I'm happy that I could at least recognize where I
yeah,
went wrong here,
yeah.
like the equation was fine, otherwise I messed up on the hours and like including the days.
Yeah.
And then with the gross margin, it's the other way
Yeah.
around, like it's 20%, that means take it out of the 80.
But
I need to get better at math.
yeah, if anything as well, good job on, you heard profitable, and so you went to cost and revenue costs. That's a big plus. The
I
profitability
mean,
case,
yeah.
yeah. No, seriously, seriously. I mean, like you're answering the question. That's the big thing. You're going about answering.
Yeah, I
You're
was
not,
happy that like we were moving along with
yeah,
what I was saying, so that's a plus. Um, okay.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I'll
There
go
you
over this.
go. Yeah, yeah. I'll send
Mhm.
you. I'll upload this video and send you the
Yeah.
YouTube link. But yeah,
I really have to work on my mental math because like even when I was subtracting, I'm like,
yeah. It was just definitely structure. Definitely just structure. Like take a second to start because there's a lot of numbers here, and you just like put your head down, start just like trying to do stuff with it. Like that's what I just did with my case coach. Actually, it was just like see like make sure you form it like make a grid, right? Make a
yeah,
really big
like a
grid and
chart.
like just
Yeah.
one by make it simple. Make it really straightforward. So
Mhm.
yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts, Wolfie? Otherwise, Scarlett, are you still there? Are you?
I am here.
Yeah.
So,
How? Any thoughts? From either of you? I
yeah.
mean, yeah.
I think so. Your start was strong. I haven't done, as you all know, haven't done a case practice or a case interview or mock
Mhm.
interview. I think what is classified as is driving the case.
Mhm.
Um, which is like pretending that the other person is like is either like working with you already, and that's what Steven is referring to as like, oh, include and or like keep the other person in the loop as to like what
Yeah.
you're working.
Yeah.
As well as so what I mean, we didn't. I mean, by the time we got to the recommendation, that was good. But yeah, definitely keeping in mind the so what. And I think you had that with we're just trying to find the profitability.
Yeah.
But yeah. Overall, just really walking me through it. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, just the biggest recommendation is like structure and also like don't just like put your head down, grind through the math. Like walk me through it, walk me through your structure, walk
Mhm.
me through like, hey, does this calculation make sense? Or any of that. So yeah, definitely like head down grinding is like I wouldn't not the way to go in these kind of
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah, I think when I get
But
more comfortable with the math too, then it's easier to do that. Here, I'm like, oh, I know it's taking me a
yeah,
while, so I'm like, oh, let me get at it, right? But
yeah,
yeah, definitely, like, and yeah, a lot of things to
yeah.
work on, but we'll do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Scott, you should have seen me with the market sizing case like, a couple of weeks ago with Lovepreet. Oh my goodness, I got completely lost. So
No, I can only imagine. So like I'll share there was an interview I did for an industrial engineering role and they threw me an estimation problem and I'm like I was not expecting this and I bombed it. So
Yeah,
like PSZ from but
yeah,
yeah, no. This is awesome. You guys are probably like legs ahead of me on like this stuff, but yeah, no, in essence, thank you guys for letting me join you and hopefully next time I can also like help
yeah,
facilitate for you
yeah,
guys to
yeah. And sorry to interrupt. I wouldn't say we're that. Like once you do your first one, then you can tell. I mean,
yeah.
so see how you do on your first one first, and then like
oh,
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, sounds good. All right, well I'll probably reach out when
yeah,
I